But we have to start the show with President Trump versus the Fed, because President Trump is attacking the Fed and Jay Powell again on Twitter over interest rates. This morning, President Trump tweeted, "The Federal Reserve should get our interest rates down to 0 or less, and we should then start to refinance our debt. Interest costs could be brought way down, while at the same time substantially lengthening the term. We have the great currency, power, and balance sheet. The USA should always be paying the lowest rate. No inflation. It is only the naivety of Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve that doesn't allow us to do what other countries are already doing, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we are missing because of boneheads." Well, Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman knows a thing or two about tweets about boneheads, and he's here now with more. Rick, what did you make of the tweet? And then I have to say, I want to make sure we mention, it came at 6:42 a.m. By 8 a.m., he was still tweeting about his polling numbers, and a lot of people said, look, we're minutes before moments of silence for 9/11. Today is September 11th. People saw this as not the time to be tweeting this.
Dan, I got to say, nobody reads a Trump tweet the way you do. I mean, you just bring it to life. It just gives it a whole new meaning. Obviously, a somber day here in New York, 9/11, and he was tweeting about his poll numbers, and then he tweeted a picture of himself and Melania at, I think, one of the 9/11 memorials. That was his tribute to the victims of 9/11 and the first responders. Not entirely appropriate, according to some people. Let's go back to the tweets about the Fed. I mean, two basic things here. Let's get interest rates down to below 0, and let's refinance the debt. So interest rates below 0 actually exist in Europe. There are negative interest rates over there, but nobody really thinks that is a smart way to manage monetary stimulus. That's basically a response to a weak economy. And, when you have negative interest rates, nobody wants to invest in your country if there's a better alternative anyplace else. So the United States right now is a very attractive place to put money, whether you're actually physically investing in the country or you're just buying U.S. Treasury securities, because the interest rate is a lot better than you can get on safe securities mostly anyplace else. So that would not be the case. So we would get a sharp drop in investment in the United States if we had negative interest rates. People who rely on interest rates for some of their, for fixed income, for retirement, I mean, you would see that evaporate. Probably your bank would start charging you a fee for your savings or your checking account instead of having free checking, because it's costing them money to hold your money and so forth. So negative interest rates are not something I think we should ever aspire to have in the United States. As for refinancing the U.S. debt, I mean, where to start on this?
Yeah, good luck with that.
I mean, in the private market, usually you have the right to prepay a loan so that you can take advantage of lower interest rates if they happen, or you might have a variable rate loan. But if you think about the purpose served by U.S. Treasury securities, I mean, people buy these as investments. So if the Treasury Department were to actually, I mean, it's hard to even understand how this would work. I mean, it's theoretically possible, but I guess the Treasury Department would go out and buy all the Treasury securities that have higher interest rates, which might be around 5%, or it could be higher than that because these are 30-year. They go up to 30 years. But if the Treasury were suddenly a mass purchaser of all of these securities, that would drive the price up in the market. And there's $17 trillion worth of Treasury securities out there. So the Treasury would be paying a premium for the higher interest rate stuff, and then taking that off the market and then issuing lower rate stuff. I mean, how would that even work? It just sounds like it would create so much turmoil that it probably would cause more trouble. Speechless? Speechless over there?
Well, I mean, it sounds nice in a tweet.
I started looking into it because that was my first question. Well, is that actually a good idea? Is that possible? I mean, Rick, you pretty much answered it. No. Not really. It's
I mean, Treasury securities are not like normal loans. I mean, first of all, they're in pension plans and savings plans and ETFs. I mean, when Donald Trump takes a loan from Deutsche Bank, that doesn't get securitized into an ETF and traded for the most part. I mean, that is possible, but you still have the right to repay the loan. Treasuries just don't work that way.
They don't work that way, Kristen. Okay, Rick, thanks so much. I'm sure that we'll have you back on soon because there will be more Jay Powell tweets from
Yes, it's an ongoing series.
I have a feeling.
Series at this point.
Okay, thanks.